Waves crash all around, anchor sinking down, so in my hair.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Hard Knot Life Sailing. Thanks for coming back to watch part 2 of our 2-part boat tour of 1984 Wauquiez Amphitrite. Come inside and see the interior.
Feel the anchor's wisdom.
Welcome back to another episode of Hard Knot Life Sailing.
Thanks for coming back to watch part 2 of our Wauquiez Amphitrite tour. We are now inside our Wauquiez. It's again a 43-foot Wauquiez Amphitrite.
This, which is the entrance of the boat, is called the companionway, and this is the entrance to our boat.
Welcome to the Galley. This is where Mary makes her magic. We have a tile countertop here that Mary painted with white top coat paint. This is a temporary fix just because the original tiles in Wauquiez, if you've ever been in one, they're awful. They're ugly brown tile, and we couldn't stand looking at them anymore. So Mary did the whole job of painting this. You can watch it in a video if you like. Probably be up here, maybe up here. This will be eventually changed to Corian countertops when we can find access to that. But for now, this works great, and it seals the grout up, which I'm not a fan of grout on the countertop because it's just a farm for bacteria. So this is our main faucet. This is what we use pretty much all the time, but we also have the option of a saltwater, which works with a manual pump, and a freshwater, which also works with a manual pump. So we have two separate faucet heads and two separate pumps. So if you lose your electricity, you still have access to your saltwater and your fresh water to wash dishes and to drink, despite your pump not working, which hasn't been an issue yet. Well, it sometimes has broken, but we've managed to fix it. This is our new stove. We got this in St. Martin. It works pretty good. Definitely better than what we had. It's only a 2-burner. I don't really like the 3 burners because they're never big enough for anything large. So if you say want to cook a big pot, you can't even get the big pot centered over top of a burner at all. It's always just going to be on the corner of a burner, or else you have to put all 3 burners on and stick a pot in the middle of it. I like this idea because you can still get 2 things on the stove. We're never cooking more than 2 things at once anyways. We're a family of 2 on board here. The gimbaled stove, you release the pin here. Whoops, see, that came off. Release the pin that goes into the wall, and the stove gimbals. This is great when you're out to sea and the boat is leaning or it's rocking back and forth. You can still cook because whatever you put in here is always level. This is the magnetic knife holder, which is very convenient to have. Keeps all your knives out of the way. This is a spice rack that I built. When we replaced the chain plates, I had this one broke trying to get out of the way. The bolt was directly behind the wood and I could not get it off, and eventually it broke off. But I was building a spice rack for it anyways, and as soon as we get the new bolts for our cleat on the deck, this will get installed, but we're just having trouble finding the proper size bolts. They're 5 inches long. So this is a future project, and you're going to hear that word a lot, future project, because there's a lot of future projects. Mary keeps all of our foods in here. We have a big chest right here where we keep, this goes all the way down pretty low, and it's full of food, mostly spices and cooking stuff. We keep food and appliances here. We got our dishes here. This cabinet also needs to be replaced on the inside. There is some water damage somewhere in there, and this was actually built with particle board. It's the only thing in the boat that has particle board, and that's kind of obvious. I don't have to tell you particle board sucks on a boat. I don't know why they did that. Everything else on the boat is great, but they put particle board in here, so that's going to get replaced. This is our refrigerator. It goes down pretty much to the ground here. It's very deep. We just have an ice box in the back. The ice box keeps the whole fridge cold, and the freezer section inside the ice box is maybe the size of 2 loaves of bread. It's not very huge, but we've managed to get by with that. This is just a cabinet with pots and pans and our garbage disposal. And turning around, we just keep a hammock here. This usually has a bunch of vegetables in it. Right now it has some cooking utensils. We hang some from these hooks as well. This was originally an air conditioning vent, but I've converted that to be a kitchen exhaust. So we turn the fan on and that sucks out air so that you don't get smoke in here when you're cooking. Especially when you're cooking like French fries. It gets very bad. We have fire extinguishers all over the boat. We got a little hatch here, also is good for when you're cooking. You get some more fresh air. I can feel it as soon as I open that up. Just gets you more ventilation around here.
Oh.
This is also an extension of the kitchen. You can raise this up, lock the pin, one on both sides, and now we have an additional counter space. It's not a very big galley, so you want as many inches as you can of counter space to work on. Oh, there we go. So inside here, we also have our shop. So this is just a door behind the counter. We come in through here. So this is inside the shop. It looks like a disaster, especially when the cabinet has to be like right in front of it. But I got a little workbench. I've got a grinder polisher. This is where our water maker is. So these are the controls for our water maker. It's a Rain Man water maker. Has the auto flush built into it. You can divert it overboard or to the tank. This is our high pressure water pump for the water maker, and our filters for it. This is a carbon filter and a pre-filter. So when you're doing your flush, it runs through a carbon filter, making sure there's no bleach in your system. And here we have our water heater. I got the cover off it now because I'm going to be replacing this to a 110 volt one. But we have a water heater that is heated by engine heat. So that's what these hoses here are for. The heat from the engine actually runs through here and gives you free hot water. And below that is our refrigerator under this board. That's the compressor for the refrigerator. And we have access to the engine here. I'll show you on the other side, but this whole panel opens up and you see the whole side of the engine. Just lots and lots of tools. Above this room is a big hatch. So if you want to get in here from outside, which I don't recommend, but when you're working in here, you can open this up and you get a lot of airflow and it makes it much more comfortable. And gives you lots of light too. So here behind our stairs is another compartment. Inside here we have the membranes for our water maker. These are, I think, 44 inches long, so they take a lot of space. So they go to the floor and they go all the way up to just below our deck of the cockpit. And this is our inverter. It's a Multiplus 3000. This charges our batteries and it'll give us 3000 watts, is it? Mm-hmm. Yeah. It gives us 3000 watts at 120 volts. So this runs all of our regular household items. Like we use this for our pressure cooker. If it's really hot, we have a big fan to cool it off. It's very, very handy having a big inverter. A lot of boats just get the minimum of what they need, and that becomes a problem in the future whenever they want to upgrade something they don't have the power. So we went with a really big one so we don't have that kind of problem. Inside here, but I actually shortened this door to be only 3/4 wide and put some tabs and closers on here so that we have access to another side of the engine. So this would be the front of our engine, and that's our generator, which is in need of repair right now. Our generator got some water damage, some seawater damage on the way here, and it had seized, not while running though. Mary's gonna turn the light on here. See a little better. Oh, it didn't help a whole lot. Well, that's our engine, a Perkins 4.154. It's a 65 horsepower, and then a diesel generator, which I am still working on to fix. So that's our front side, and our starboard side we can get to from inside the shop, port side from our hallway, and the aft of it from our main cabin. So because our inverter is right here and it produces a lot of heat, what I did is this is where the heat comes out of it. I installed another, I think they're called levers, to vent it. So I had to make a hinged one, and that allows the hot air to come out from our inverter, and then it comes in through this side. This is on the same wall. These are our gauges, which got some dust on them. So these are our water gauges, so we can look at our center tank, our aft tank, port side, starboard side. You can see we are pretty much full of water because of the rain we've been getting with our new rain collector. This is for our generator, our phaser generator. It gives you all your information, and this is where you start it from. These I don't think are even hooked up. Those, yeah, I think that's from the old system. These are bilge pumps, which I'll show you. I have a primary and a secondary bilge pump, so they're on auto now. You can turn them on manually or leave them on auto. The light comes on if they are pumping. And if for some reason they don't keep up with the water, we have a bilge alert. So this will go off. Right now it's armed. For some reason it wasn't. If we're having a high water issue and these pumps can't keep up to it and we're not hearing the pumps, this alarm will go off telling you that the water level has gotten above the sensor for the second bilge pump. This is for our Victron system. It tells you all the information about our batteries and charging.
Wow, 98%.
Yeah, this is the highest it's been in a while.
Oh.
So this tells you our solar. We can see our daily history. We've peaked at 934 watts today, for example. Our batteries are at 98%, which is 13.35 volts. We're not using any power right now. That's why this is at a -6. So actually we're only using a half of an amp of electricity right now because we're producing 181 watts. It's very, very cloudy. So we're basically at a neutral right now. This is our fuse panel. So we have 120 volts. This is for our regular household items. This is our 120 volt system for our cabin outlets. If we're charging with the generator, we can flick on the battery charger or turn it off if we don't want it to charge. Say we want to use the generator to power a shop vac or something, we can turn off the charging and still run the power through the boat. Right now it's still set to the shore power, which is where that borrowed generator is plugged in. And when we're running off of our built-in generator, we slide that panel over and we can turn on our built-in generator. So right now we are currently leaving like this. This is our navigation center here, nav desk. This was designed for people traveling with paper charts, which is not too common now, but that's why this desk, is so large so you can spread out a sheet. I use this for my computer desk. My monitor is built onto the wall, and actually use Galley as my computer. So this is a Windows 11 computer that can actually play video games that most households can't. It's a lot of power packed into a very small machine. And this runs as basically used as my personal computer. We can plug in many external hard drives, etc. And keyboard, you have a little compartment here where you can store some extra stuff, and then this whole thing lifts up, and this is where people would probably be storing their navigation charts. But for us, it's mostly just stationary. This is just temporary here. This is the 12 volt system for our STARLINK. So I built this in a previous video, which we'll send a link up here or up here. But this is a 12 volt system for our STARLINK so that it doesn't have to plug into the 120 volts outlet. So it uses a lot less power running off of this. So this is something I built with components. Moving down from that, this is our single sideband radio. We don't really use it, but we have it if we need it. Our radio, and this is just our speaker selection for our radio, so we can switch what set of speakers go on our back cabin, our forward cabin, or outside in the cockpit.
So welcome to our saloon. This is our settee, and the table actually converts into a bigger table, and more than 10 people can eat in here. We've had 12 people eating on this table. When it's cold inside or cold outside, we come in here. There's a little maneuver that you gotta do to get it down, and you can go through this little path. This is a berth. This is also another berth that expands if the person is bigger and wants to sleep in here. This also converts into a double bed. You just put another cushion that we have in the back and it converts into a double berth. This is our steering wheel. We have it here to have more space out there in the cockpit. This is our bar. We barely drink, but we have a bar here available.
We have everything in the world.
We have a bar available, but we drink socially when we have someone over, maybe. This is our book collection. It's not as big. We donated over 75 books we already read.
I read every one of them.
So we stayed with the ones we think they're important for us, including this. This is like a manual that the original owner of this boat wrote. He's actually an author, and his name is...
Good luck pronouncing it.
It's a very hard name to pronounce, but his name is Svi Richard Donner Svi Frank. So if you happen to know this person, send us a comment below, because we think he was a very interesting person and took care of the boat when he had it. That manual came in every language. Right now we have this language, and if you want it, you can comment below and we can make arrangements and send you one.
Because we have lots of copies.
We have a couple of books. In this boat we have actually our water hoses, port, starboard, and aft. So those are access to our water tanks. Starboard and aft fill into the center tank, which is port. Yes. The port tank is underneath this settee, and the starboard tank is underneath this settee in here. We also have a storage everywhere in here, including these ones, and underneath this settee. There is storage everywhere, people. There's also storage underneath the table. There's plenty of storage on this boat. This is our forward washroom. It has a manual pump. It has a shower, and there's a curtain right there. We barely use this washroom. This is usually for guests we have here from time to time. They use this one.
This is our walkthrough. So here we have a little window that looks into the cockpit. We have the other access to our engine room. This is the other access to our engine. This is the one I use most of the time. It has access to our shutoff for our engine's cooling water intake is under here. Our drive shaft, transmission we just recently had rebuilt in Trinidad, and our Perkins engine right here in the middle. This engine area is quite big. If I have to work on something, I can actually get in here and sit down on top of it. And we have our generator above it. Now that's where I'm currently working, trying to get it freed because it's seized. This is the access on the other side, so you can see you can easily get to both sides of this engine, as well as this panel here comes off with that fire extinguisher, and as well on the front of the engine where the inverter is, so you can get to every side but the bottom of this engine quite easily. So this is our pass-through. This is also another 2 berths. We do not use them as berths. As you can see, this is our storage. This is mostly used for the projects that I have ongoing kind of at the time. Like right now I'm hooking up another MPPT controller for our solar, so that I have one separate on each solar panel. Will have its own charge controller. That way they're all at the correct voltage. And then inside here are some of our electronics. This is our current MPPT controller. This is a big one. It's going to be used just for the 4 panels on top of our hardtop right now. This is our negative bus bar, so everything negative connects to this. That's our smart shunt. So this is where it actually can read how much electricity is going to or coming from our batteries. So that keeps us up to date with a constant display of where our batteries are at. And the Servo GX is basically like the computer of the whole system. It reads all the information from all of our components and broadcasts it to our touch display. So this is the starboard side of our boat. Right now the lights I installed on our hardtop, the courtesy lights, I just have them attached to this fuse right now because I haven't decided where I want the waterproof switch in the cockpit, but that will be an upcoming video. But for now, we just turn them on like that. Yeah, it's raining again. It's been tough to get this video done with all the rain that keeps going down. Now we keep moving back, and this is our cabin. This is a big selling feature of this boat. We have a great big grand cabin. We have this very large settee that wraps around. We eat a lot of meals right here even. This table pulls out. We can sit and eat in here. If we want to watch television while we eat, we just turn the TV. We can watch some TV in bed or while we eat. We have 5 large windows in here. 1 next to our bed, 2 beside Mary the camera woman, and then our 2 large ones at the back. We have another 50-gallon water tank underneath the bed, as well as our gray water tank. Aside from them, we just have our drawers for clothes. I'm waiting for the screws to come tomorrow, I think, to replace that door. But the storage there, everywhere is storage, like all the spots under the floors. This is where I keep my electrical components, my connectors, my electrical tools, all my filters are in here. Everywhere's got storage under here. Underneath this settee is our steering quadrant, and this is our autopilot, which connects directly to the quadrant. This sends a signal to tell us where our rudder position is, so we know if the rudder is straight or port or starboard. Most of this is all tools. These are just our living things, but underneath that is more tool storage. I have way too many tools, but I find I use all of them. We're able to have this open because of the canvas that I installed there while we're at this anchorage. We can have our hatch open even when it's raining, which is great. We still get that airflow. So we have another desk here. I guess this would be kind of a vanity desk, makeup desk. We do have a lot of stuff stored on right now. We need to do some organizing. And there's lighting, there's cabinetry and lighting underneath. We got cabinetry for clothing. More cabinetry with clothing. Behind this clothing is another panel where you can access the backside of the engine. It's handy when you're working if you need to inspect your drive shaft or your stuffing box, which seals the seawater from coming into your boat. Other than that, you don't really ever need access to this. Alright, and this is our aft bathroom. So this is the one we mainly use. The front one has a manual pump toilet. This one has an electric vacuum flush toilet, so it works just like an airplane. This massive tap is actually the overflow for our water tank. So if our water tanks get overfilled, it pours out into the sink, letting you know that the tanks are full. And then just our regular shower one pulls out. If you're having a shower inside here, which we try not to shower in here because it is not good for the wood. We did use this a lot when we were in the cold weather, but in the warm weather we use the cockpit like most sailors. Which also has a curtain around it and more storage. The wood, I've had to remove all of this wood because we have a water issue with one of the deck fittings. So that is getting repaired, and I'm making new wood here because the wood got damaged from water coming in there. It was buried behind wood, so I didn't know it was leaking until it was too late. Also has a little window and a fan, so you can use the throne in comfort. The window goes right to the cockpit, but it doesn't really face a crucial area. So these are our hanging closets where we just keep our clothes. There's two bars going across, so it's double deep wide. And another one of clothes that's extremely disorganized. And storage above. And then moving forward, this is our V-berth. It sleeps two with a removable section in the middle to expand it. And we have drawers on either side here. Just keep our wetsuit stuff and rigging stuff in here. And spares, mostly just spares up here. And our sails, because we're on hurricane season, so we take our sails down to preserve them a little longer. And it gives you less windage. If a storm was to roll by, there's less stuff for the wind to push. So we keep our sails up here. We got a big locker, snorkeling stuff in there. More sails, and we have a board that goes in right here. This also fills in to be all bed. And then because these hatches are so big, we have the exit here. And we have stairs to climb right outside. So somebody sleeping in the V-berth doesn't have to even leave through the companionway. They can just climb up here and go right out through this hatch, because it's a very, very large hatch with our two cowls right there. So one cowl goes into the hallway, one goes into the forward bathroom. And this concludes our tour of our Wauquiez Amphitrite. Thank you so much for watching. Please consider watching our other videos. We have 3 years of adventures out there for anybody to watch, so please consider subscribing. And if you do, every Sunday we have a video, so grab your morning coffee and come join us.
Also, there are some links that we're gonna put down below for you to check all the videos we mentioned throughout this video.
Alright, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next Sunday.
Bye now.
Bye.
By the light above, city whispers low, echoes in the park.